Hi guys, so today is another one of my declutter series. This is the final lip declutter we will be doing. This is my berries and plums and more vampy colored shades in here. So pretty much if it's deeper and darker and wasn't a red, it went in here. So that means I've got lots of different undertones, a lot of different finishes. I'm going to try and organize these by color as best as I possibly can so that we can eliminate duplicates and make sure that I have an edited collection. I do love plums and berries in the wintertime. I think they're a really flattering color on my skin tone. And then I also like some vampy colors. So I am not opposed to wearing a dark vampy lip as long as the formula performs. All that to say, we've got a lot to get through today. Check out my past declutters. We've talked a lot about how I am decluttering this makeup. I feel like I'm being a little bit repetitive at this point, but if you're interested in where I'm donating products that can be sanitized, I will have all of that information down below. So lots to talk about today, but I also wanted to let you know that at the end of this video, we are going to kind of do a roundup and recap of my entire declutter. We're going to talk about how many things I have decluttered, how many I have kept. I'm going to show you before and afters of my drawers so you can kind of see what I was starting with, where I'm sitting at now, and kind of how everything has kind of come together and been organized. So if you're interested in some makeup organization here at the end, that will be kind of the wrap-up finale to the whole lipstick declutter series. So without further ado, let's get into this. All right, so I've divided this up into what I hope are groups that make sense. So first we're going to look at berries. So these are things that are deeper, that have a light pinkier undertone. Then we're going to look at plums, which plums are deeper but have a more purpley undertone to them. We're going to look at more brick red colors. We're going to look at sort of browns and rusts as a group. And then finally, we're going to look at my shades that are just super dark and super vampy. They may have plummy undertones. They might have more berry undertones, but they're really, really dark and almost blackish. So we'll look at those last. So let's go ahead and start with the berry shades. So first up is from Flower Beauty. This is the shade Rouge Berry. This is one of their creamy lipsticks. And I apologize now that my arm is so stained, but hey, swatch lipsticks back to back to back to back, and some staining starts to happen, especially as you get into reds. So that is a really nice muted plum color. I do love the formula. I think you guys have heard me talk about those quite a few times. This is from Lorac. This was part of, I think, last year's Christmas collection. This is the shade Aphrodite, which I think is part of their permanent collection. That is sort of a deeper berry color. This is from Clinique and Jonathan Adler. I think the packaging on this is flipping gorgeous. I bought it halfway for the packaging last year. This is Santorini Pop. This is a brighter berry color. And then this is a Makeup Academy shade Fuchsia. I forget which formula this is. It's very, very, very creamy, super comfortable. That one is similar to this, but it's actually more of a plummy undertone. We've got one from Rimmel Kate. This is shade 104. More of a muted berry. In fact, that could have probably gone in my mauves now that I say that. Oh yeah, that's way more of a mauve. All right, well, we've already done mauve, so we're gonna have to count it in this collection. This is Maybelline Color Drama. This is in the shade Pink Show Chic. It's a really pretty berry color. It's a very creamy pencil formula. These are not available in the United States. I think I had to go out on a Canadian website to get these, if I remember correctly. This is another one of the Bite High Pigment Lip Pencils. This is the shade Amarone. Next up, this is a L'Oreal Infallible Pro Gloss in the shade 310 Forbidden Kiss. That is a true berry right there. This is a soft matte lip cream in the shade Prague. This is a Flower Beauty Miracle Matte Lip. This is in the shade Merlot Kiss. This is beautiful and it is so pigmented. It is a nice moussey texture. Look how pretty. Oh, love. And this is a Too Faced Melted Liquified Lipstick. This is in the shade Melted Berry. I love this color. I don't love these applicators, but man, is this color pretty. Yeah, see, it still doesn't look like any of the other shades that are on my arm. Let's talk about lipsticks first. So I do want to keep this first shade. I just think it's a really pretty muted berry color. I love that. And to be honest, I want to keep this next one as well, Aphrodite. More of a brown berry color, but I think it's really pretty. I do want to keep these two. I do think I can pass along this MUA one. It's definitely, I'm jumping around a little bit, it, but it's definitely more of an orchid color. Probably should have been in my purples. I felt like I kept a couple shades like this. I know I didn't swatch this 104 shade Rimmel Kate against any of my mauves, but I feel like at this point I have this color. Like I would lay a large sum of money that I have this color somewhere else in my collection, so I'm gonna pass this one on. This probably should have been in my pinks. I'm gonna keep this. I've only had it for a little bit, maybe a year at this point, and I really love the packaging. The color is also really pretty, so nice creamy formula. I'm gonna keep this. As it relates to these two pencils here, this is Amarone and this is the Maybelline Color Drama. I think I'm gonna pass on Amarone. Just had it a while and I'm not reaching for it a ton. This one's getting deeper and darker and vampier. I feel like if I'm gonna want this shade, I'm probably gonna reach for this down here, which is this Miracle Matte from Flower Beauty. So I'm gonna pass this on. I also don't feel like I need to keep both the Infallible Pro Matte Gloss and this Melted Matte. These two are looking very, very, very similar to one another. So I actually like the brightness a little bit better in this Melted Matte one. So I'm gonna pass the Infallible one along. I'm also gonna pass this Soft Matte Lip Cream in Prague on. It's a pretty shade, but I feel like I like the mid-tones to lighter shades better than their deeper ones. And I'm gonna keep this, but holy manoli, did that darken a ton. Look how much darker that is. I've got to remember how much deeper and darker this one dries than the rest of them. So that is berries. Let's move on to plums. All right, so here are all of my plum lipsticks. I feel like I have a lot more of these than I realized. These are the ones that I think are a little more balm-like down here. So this is from Julep. This is the shade Strut. I don't think they make this lipstick formula anymore because I feel like I had this in my everyday makeup drawer not that long ago and I went to link it and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I feel like they've discontinued whatever formula this was. It doesn't say on the bottom here, but it's a really beautiful desaturated plum color, so a little more muted. This is from the e.l.f. Beautifully Bare line. This is their satin lipstick in Touch of Berry. I love this one. This is one where my lips are dehydrated in the wintertime, but I just want a sheer wash of berry on my lip. I have worn this, the heck out of this rather, in the wintertime, so I do love that one. And then this is also from Julep. This is in It's Balm Lip Crayon in the shade Mulberry Cream. It has a core of a balm and then lipstick kind of on the outside. And that is really pretty, sort of classic plum color. You can definitely see this one is a little more desaturated and a little cooler toned. I think the rest of these are all going to be fairly pigmented, so let's just go through them. This is Matte 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 from Essence. This is shade number 13 out of the box. That is more cool toned and greige almost. In fact, I probably should have put that in my greiges. All right, we'll keep going. This is number 30 from Rimmel Kate. That's almost more of a berry. Dagnabbit. I'm gonna set this to the side and swatch the berries I'm keeping real fast in a second and see if this is similar. This is shade 45 Naughty Plum from Revlon. And that is a more cool toned plum as well, not quite as greige as that one. This is an e.l.f. moisturizing lipstick in Tender Orchid. And that maybe should have been in my purples. Gosh, that is a really cool color though, but it definitely should have been in my purple section. Shoot, I'm thinking this should have been either. This is also Aria from NYX. This is one of their soft mattes. Diana, I feel like that should have been in my purples also. I hate it when I sort things incorrectly. All right, this is Sitting Pretty by ColourPop. This is a little more of a traditional plum color, really nice shade, but definitely in that purpley color. This is shade 07. This is from Essence. This is Purple Power. This is from MAC. This is MAC Rebel. This is a very popular shade from them. Now, I think I must have tossed all these colors that are kind of that more brighter plum in here. And then this is a Matte X formula called Backup from ColourPop, one of their lippy sticks. This is their most matte formula. This is a Infallible Paints. This is the shade 326 Sultry Sangria. And then this is an Infallible Pro Matte Liquid Lipstick in 362 Plum Bum. This is the same formula as those color stays from Maybelline, down to the exact ingredient. Just has a different doe fit applicator and a frosty bottle, which I kind of hate because I feel like it mutes the color. It makes it a lot harder to see what this is. So that is Plum Bum. And then last but not least, this is a little baby bite lipstick in the shade Nori, which should not be here. This should be over here. I know I want to keep the second one in here. I know it's sheer, but I really love this one. It's so nice and hydrating, so I'm going to keep it. I think I want to keep one of these two julep ones here. I think I'm going to keep the one that's still available out on the market. I do love how hydrating and comfortable this is. And I'll pass on the shade Strut, which I don't think is out there anymore. Next up, this is number 13. This is, I think, a new shade. I kept a grayish very similar to this. I know that for a fact. I'm gonna pass this on. And then Naughty Plum is a really interesting color, a more brown-based plum. I just think that's really cool. I'd like to pull this in more in the wintertime and see how I feel about it. So I'm gonna hang on to this. Now we get into a lot of very similar tones down here. I think what I'm gonna do is keep a matte and a cream finish of that. So for a matte finish, I think I'm gonna keep this ColourPop one sitting pretty. And I'm actually going to get rid of this one, which I actually think is e.l.f.'s matte formula. It is definitely more matte. And although this is a soft matte lipstick, it definitely has a ton more shine to it than either of these two mattes on either side of it. So I do think I'm going to count both of these as cream. And I think these two shades, MAC Rebel and NYX Aria, are pretty much the same. I think I'm going to hang on to my MAC one. This is the shade 70. I do think I want to hang on to this. I think it's a really pretty matte shade. I don't see myself wearing this matte grape dark shade down here. I just don't, so I'm gonna pass this on. And then we're left with the Infallible paints, which is more glossy, and then this one here from Loreal in the matte line. I feel like I kept the shade down here, which is very similar to this, so I'm gonna pass this guy on. I'm torn on this one. It's not a color I'm gonna wear a ton. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pass this guy on. So I went back and swatched to see if this Rimmel Kate in 30 is like anything I was keeping, and the closest thing it is like is this Liquified lipstick from Too Faced. So if given a choice, I actually think I'm going to keep the Kate one over the Too Faced one because I think the application process is just a little bit easier. So we're going to keep Rimmel and we're going to pass on Too Faced. All right, so this little mini collection are ones that I would consider to be more deep cranberry, sort of rusty red colors. So definitely in the reddish family, but just a lot deeper and darker than any of the reds we looked at in my last declutter. So this is from MUA. This is the shade Ruby. This is such a creamy formula. Next up, this is Copper Rose. This is a metallic from Maybelline as part of their Color Sensational, and I guess that's probably more of a berry or a plum than this color. We'll talk about it here since it is kind of random and unique. This is from Lorac. This is the shade Dominatrix in their lipstick formula. Really intense and dark and vampy. This is the shade Crazed, part of the NYX line. This one I think is going to be more of a brownish red. This is number 48 from Rimmel Kate. That is a similar color to what we just swatched, but maybe this one's a little bit more brown. You know what, guys? With these two, I think I'm going to take them off my arm. I'm going to move them over to the browns category over here because I feel like I want to understand the browns a little bit more in my life. So these two are just going to be gone. This is the shade Ilari. It's a matte formula in the Lippy Stick line from ColourPop. This is number 42 Sephora Cream Lip Stain. This formula is great, locks into place. Beautiful berry. And then this is fairly new to my collection. This is another NYX Slip Tease in the shade Fire Dancer. And then last but not least, this little baby guy is Nori. We started to look at him in my last grouping and then we took him back. All right, things I think I'm gonna get rid of. I'm gonna get rid of this shade Copper Rose. I don't see myself reaching for this. It's not bad, but it's just not my favorite. So I'm gonna pass that on. Nori is pretty, but I don't think I'm going to reach for it a ton. I think it looks very similar to some of these shades down here. This MUA lipstick is nice and creamy, but it might be too creamy for its own good in these darker colors. So I'm gonna pass that on. Dominatrix, I'm gonna set to the side. This is gonna be a maybe. I wanna look at it in my deep dark vampy shades because I think it may fit in over there. So I'm gonna put it over there for the time being. This is a really pretty shade. It's new to my collection. I'm not ready to part with it. This shade Ilari, so I'm gonna keep this. This is kind of ridiculous, but I think I wanna keep both of these. Hopefully you guys can see the undertone difference. This one is a lot more red, and this one is a lot more purpley undertone, which doesn't look like much, but I feel like is going to look like quite a bit on the lips. I know I like this one. I don't want to get rid of it, but I feel like this one's very new to my collection, and I'd like to hang on to it, try it through the fall season, and really see how I feel about it as a color. Okay, so these have sort of rusty orange shades at the front here, and then most of these are brownish lipsticks. I do like certain shades of brown lipstick on me. In the fall time, I like a little bit of vampy brown, but it's definitely got to be the right undertone to work for my fair skin. So let's get some of these more orangey colors out of the way. This is the shade Brick from e.l.f. I think this is one of their matte lipsticks. Gosh, that is a really freaking cool color. This is from Sephora. This is one of their luster mattes. I think they got rid of this entire collection of lip products in favor of expanding their matte lip cream formula instead. This one is older, and I hung on to it because it was this really interesting orangey color. It still feels like it looks good, but I feel like the color pumpkin spice that I kept from the M Cosmetics is very similar, so I feel like this is one I'm going to pass on. This is the shade Alabama in the NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream. This is sort of a brickish red. That probably should have been in the last category. Boy. And then this is the shade Crazed, also Soft Matte Lip Cream. A little bit more brown, a little less red. Raisin Rouge. I bought this because I remember when this collection came out from Revlon. These are all very similar raisin tones now that I'm looking at them. This is 1993 from Urban Decay. This is one of their Comfort Matte formulas. The shade was super, super popular when it came out. This is 940 Touchable Taupe from Maybelline. This is one of their Color Sensational, just creamy lipsticks. It's definitely a brown with a similar undertone, but maybe a little bit lighter. This is the shade 48 from Rimmel Kate. This is part of their nude collection. Definitely a more plummy brown. This is the Beauty and the Beast Très Chic lipstick. I think, yeah, this is more of a true brown. I don't know if you guys are hearing it, but there's definitely lawn mowing outside. I apologize if that is distracting. Last time I thought like you could hear it on the mic. You couldn't hear it at all, so I'm hoping that is the case here. This is my favorite brown. So this is from ColourPop. You can't even see it. It's all worn off, but this is the shade Grunge. I tend to reach for this over everything else because it is a very purpley toned brown. Hopefully you can see the difference between that and some of these others. I find it to be definitely a more flattering brown on me, I think because it's got a little bit of that plummy undertone to it. And then this is the shade Greystone from Nude Sticks. This is like a pure like chocolate brown, quite milk chocolate, but definitely a chocolate brown. So hopefully you can see the difference between what a true brown looks like on my undertone and something more like grunge. This is another Lime Crime one. This is in the shade Saint. I think is a more plummy brown as well. In fact, it may be more plum than brown. This is the Healthy Lip from Physicians Formula. This is in the shade, I think it was Raisin Immunity. The sticker is gone now, but I'm fairly certain this was Raisin Immunity. This one was probably the one out of the whole line that I tried that was the most patchy. It needed the most building up, but the color itself is so pretty. This is a L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Liquid Lipstick in the shade Shakedown. So you can definitely see this one's got a little bit more of a yellowy orangey undertone versus a true brown versus a plummy brown. This is where I said, I feel like people say they can't wear brown lipsticks, and at the end of the day, kind of like red lipsticks, there's a shade that works for you. It's just finding the right undertone. And then this is one I just went out on a limb and got from M Cosmetics. This is her color in Spanish. This is definitely the darkest brown that I have. I am going to move this. This is so dark and deep compared to these other ones that I'm going to move this to my last section of Dark and Vampy here, and we'll look at that one in just a second. All the things. What do we want to do? Okay, this one is going to go. It's old. I feel like I have a shade that's similar now. I'm going to pass that into the trash can. This first shade is really cool. Like, I don't have anything else like it in my collection. I'm going to keep that for sure. These two NYX ones and this one from Revlon are all very similar. I think I want to keep the shade Alabama. This was a recommendation from one of you guys. I have not actually, I've tried it on my lips just in front of my vanity, but I've not actually worn it yet, so I do think I want to keep that. Of these two, I think they're very, very similar. So Raisin Rage from Revlon, and then the, what is this one? Crazed from NYX. These are very freaking similar to one another. I think I'm going to keep the NYX one and pass on the Revlon. Now we're into some more of these like taupey brown shades. I don't feel like I need both of these, so I do think I'm going to pass on the Maybelline Touchable Taupe and keep this very iconic 1993 shade. Beauty and the Beast one here in the middle. I don't necessarily think this one is super uber flattering for me, so I think I'm going to pass on Très Chic. These two are actually very, very similar to one another. 48 from Rimmel and then Grunge shade. Now that I see those swatched, those are almost the exact same shade, so I don't need both of them. I'm going to hang on to Grunge. Love the Lippy Stick formula, and I'm going to pass on the Rimmel one. I can't wear this shade, Greystone from Nude Sticks. It is just too brown on me, so I'm going to pass that on. I think I'm going to pass on this Healthy Lip. It's not bad, but I feel like it was a little patchy. I could get it to work, but it always made me a little nervous that it just didn't give me the full opacity that every other color in this line did. This is a really cool color from Lime Crime. I got rid of the other one my sister gave me. I think I'm going to hang on to this one, and I'm going to pass on this more yellowy brown. This one just was not very flattering on me. Okay guys, last section here. These are the vampiest, darkest colors in my collection. Like I said, I do like a good vampy lip, but I really do want it to go on smoothly and opaquely. So let's swatch these. Let's make sure I'm keeping maybe a couple that I think I really like and enjoy, and then probably passing on the rest. This is the shade Whiskey from Bite Lipstick. I don't know if this is available anymore. This might be the darkest one we swatch. It is fun to wear. I did wear this several times. It's definitely more of a deep cranberry color with some brown in it. It's a pretty formula. I did wear it quite a few times the last, gosh, 2 years maybe. And then this is from NYX. This is another matte lipstick. This is the shade Siren. That one is a little more plummy. That's not as dark as I thought it was. This is shade 08 in the matte line. This is It's a Statement. I think I moved this one over here. I did, yep. Nothing is as dark as that one in comparison, I feel like. These next two are from Lorac. So this is the shade Dominatrix. And then MUA, which is almost black, but it's very purpley undertone to it. This is a lippy stick. This is Fab Five. This is one that my stepdaughter picked out. My stepdaughter does my makeup, so if you want to see this color on my lips, check out that video. I'll link it down below. But I was so impressed by how this went on my lips, and I was really excited to wear this more. So I definitely will be keeping that one, I know. This is another plump line in Stakeout. This one I feel like I have hung on to because it does really help out those vampy dark plum lips last a lot better. So I feel like I was wearing this with some of these others over the top of them, but it definitely does work on its own as well. This is a older Sephora cream lip stain in 02. This is back when they just had a few colors. This one definitely goes on the lips incredibly opaquely. Still don't smell like they've gone off. This has an ever so slight, so light shimmer running through it, but you can't tell it, I feel like, on the lips at all. NYX Liquid Suede. This is in the shade Vintage. Next, M Cosmetics in Spanish Earth. This is one we swatched a minute ago. It's definitely brown, but it's very vampy brown. All right, so here's what I'm thinking at this point. I have 3 shades on my arm that are totally that dark vampy plum color. I've got this Bite one here. I've got this shade MUA from Lorac, and then I've also got the Plump Line lip liner from Buxom. I think I want to keep the Buxom one because it is like a very creamy lip liner. I feel like this kind of formula is really good to wear underneath liquid lipsticks or even regular lipsticks when you want to go dark and vampy, and that is going to give me my deepest, darkest vampy look. I can always add something on top of it to change the undertone slightly. So I think I'm going to pass on the Bite, I'm going to pass on the Rock, and I'm going to keep the Plump Line. Of what's left, I know I want to keep this one that my stepdaughter Kaylee picked out. This is the Lippy Stick. I don't think this is available anymore. It's Fab 5. I think this is for ColourPop's 5-year birthday. So I do want to keep that, which means I don't think I need to keep this Lorac one here because that is almost the same undertone. So I'm going to pass on Lorac and keep ColourPop. The other I think I'm going to pass on, even though the formula is amazing, is this shade 08 Matte Matte Matte. Although it is a beautiful color, I also feel like like the undertone is very, very similar to the ColourPop one that I've kept. I don't need both of them, but I do think I want to keep this one in Siren just because this one is more purpley and this one is more berry as far as these dark vampy colors. So I'm going to hang on to this NYX one. This one is still going strong. I really like it. It's perfectly opaque. It's a beautiful color on my lips. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to pass on this NYX Liquid Suede, but I didn't need both of these, and I feel like the color or the Sephora Cream Lip Stain just swatched better. And then as far as this one in Spanish Earth from M Cosmetics at the end here, I want to try this through the fall season. It's different than what else is on my arm. I just want to see if I feel like this is too brown on me. I wore it a little bit last fall, but I don't think I got a ton of use out of it, so I want to keep it. We'll see how it goes through the fall, and then we'll make some decisions, perhaps in an everyday makeup drawer in the future. Okay guys, so here is what I'm getting rid of in this bin. Here is what I am keeping in this bin. I still might be keeping more than I need in this category, but I did end up getting rid of more than I'm keeping, so I'm keeping 25, I'm getting rid of 30, so I'm getting rid of 55% of my collection. So I'm feeling pretty good about this at this point. Some of these I feel like are tries and sees through the fall and winter time frame where I tend to wear more of these berries and vampy colors anyway. So we'll see if a few more of these make it through this season. I have a tendency, once I do these big declutters, to pull things into my everyday makeup drawers, and then if I don't like it or if it doesn't end up working out for me for some reason, I kind of do one-off declutters through my everyday makeup drawer series as well. I don't hang on to it and wait all the time just for a declutter to happen for me to get rid of makeup. So I am kind of decluttering throughout the entire year, especially when it comes to lip products. So that is the plan with these. Like I promised, I wanted to come back and give you guys a total update now that we've decluttered all 6 categories, kind of talk to you about where we're sitting. I ended up decluttering 49% of my collection overall, so that sounds like a great number, and I am definitely pleased with the fact that I've gotten rid of essentially half of the lipsticks in my collection. A lot of these were lipsticks that I was buying for testing purposes, etc., but also just because I let my lip collection get out of hand quite frequently. Now, although 49% seems awesome, and it is, I will have to say I am keeping 196 and getting rid of 187. On one hand, like I said, I'm happy that I was able to go through and cut these in half. Part of me also says I should take that 196 into another declutter and cut that in half again, because 100 lipsticks seems like a little bit more manageable. And I guess in my head, that's kind of what I thought I would be keeping through this whole process. Happy with how everything looks in my drawers. Everything fits. Nothing is super cluttered. Nothing is super disorganized. I feel like I can see things easily. I feel like I have colors I like and formulas I like. There's not a lip product in here that I've kept that I don't like. So that is where we are sitting right now. Like I said, I'm pleased with myself. On one hand, we've gotten rid of half. I'm not so pleased on another hand. I feel like I probably should have pushed myself a little bit harder than I did in this series. And so all that to say, don't be surprised if in a few months I come back and we do another lipstick declutter to perhaps whittle this down a little bit closer to that 100 mark, which for some reason in my head feels a little bit more manageable. I don't want to discount what I just did. I think it was a Herculean effort of swatching and looking at things and cutting things back and getting rid of half of my collection. But I feel like I should probably go through it and get rid of at least another third at some point here in the near future. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this series and kind of all of the swatches and kind of the befores and afters of my drawers. I definitely have enjoyed this series. I feel like I've uncovered lipsticks that I've forgotten about and some new favorites in my collection. So hang tight, more declutters coming. Thanks so much for watching all of these videos. If you have watched all 6 of my lipstick declutters, you are my hero. You amaze me. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.